Mall of America. For more than 30 years, it has been a retail leader and an international destination, and it remains the largest mall in the U.S. Not to mention, it welcomes millions of guests from around the world. It's huge, but it's also so much more. In this podcast, you're going to hear the real stories of how it started and why it continues to thrive. You'll hear about challenges we faced along the way and what you can learn from them. We will feature guests and experts from all walks of life and business, and along the way, you'll laugh, learn, and maybe even change the way you look at things. So if you're a fan of the mall, a brand new visitor, an entrepreneur, or a dreamer, prepare to dive deep into so much more. This podcast is presented by the Bloomington Convention and Visitors Bureau.
Welcome. Thanks for joining us for another episode of So Much More. My name is Chris Gropp, and I'm here again with my good friend Dan Jasper.
Hey, Chris. Thanks for having me.
I am super excited. Dan, we have with us today promoter, wrestler, advocate, builder of communities, and all-around great guy, Arik Cannon. Arik, welcome to the show.
Hey, that was a hell of an introduction. I like that. Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited.
Welcome, Arik.
Absolutely. No, this is really fun for me. Ever since I've been here at Mall of America, I had wanted to bring wrestling back to the Rotunda. For those of you who don't know, there was a historic event that took place in the Rotunda. Arik, from your perspective, do you care to talk about that?
Well, when you say historic event in the Rotunda, I want to think you're talking about.
Let's start with the beginning.
All right, okay.
And then we'll bring it into modern times.
The prelude to that.
All right. We'll go to the other one. In 1995, professional wrestling was sort of changing. And when I say changing, I mean that it was coming to the mainstream, but not just mainstream, but also prime time. And there was WWE, WWF at the time. They were on Monday nights on the USA Network. And that had been a couple of years of that. Fast forward to 1995, Ted Turner got into the wrestling game with WCW, and they were also going to join WWF on Monday nights in primetime. Yeah. And they decided to have their very first episode be live on TNT from the Rotunda in the Mall of America. And that was not just huge for all of professional wrestling and wrestling fans, but especially for that community and the fandom here in Minnesota. Like, I was on the floor at home watching the show, you know, awesome. In a very childish way, berating my mom, like, why are we not down there?
We should be there.
I vividly remember being on the floor while we're watching it and turning to her and my dad and being like, it's at the big mall. We could be there. But like, it was one of those things that as a kid, I didn't realize was happening until it was happening. It was huge. It was a turning point for professional wrestling, especially on television.
That's awesome. Talk about the real big event.
Yes, and so, over my time here and working with different departments, I would always bring up bringing back wrestling. I want to bring back wrestling. Talking about Pasta Mania and just wrestling's history, not only in Minnesota, but in Mall of America. And I was familiar with you only as a performer at the time. Seeing you in different events, and I didn't know that First Wrestling was your promotion. And then I sent an email to you and found out, this is you, this is who I'm talking to. Would you be interested in bringing wrestling back to Mall of America? And you had to think about it long and hard. No, seriously, no.
The only thing I had to think about was, does this guy really work at the mall?
Yeah, is this real?
Like, is this a joke? Who is this? But to take it back just 1 second, throughout all those years between 1995, fast forward to 2022, it's become like an annual event in the wrestling world. Yeah. Like historically, especially social media, once that kind of boomed, every year. On this day, 1995, WCW at the Mall of America, the Rotunda. Holy crap, that was such a thing. I hope it happens again. Every single year. And if you've heard Chris talk about wrestling all this time, I'm sure you've also heard mall goers, wrestling fans, social media types. It's a real thing.
Absolutely.
And it has been such a crazy, wild thing for so long that now, 2022, we're going to do this. I got that original email from Chris in like mid-March of 2020. And we kind of played tag for quite a while, and then everything got turned upside down.
Yeah,
we actually met in the offices the week of the shutdown because we were planning to do it in 2020 on the 25th anniversary.
Which would have been very cool. But yeah, we started to discuss how cool this could be, how cool this would be. And then COVID kind of halted, as we know, everything. Mm-hmm. In hindsight, maybe for the best, because I didn't want to rush it. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to do it just to do it. I didn't want to be a part of it just to be a part of it. I knew that if my crew and if First Wrestling was going to be involved in bringing wrestling back to the Rotunda after 27 years, we weren't going to mess around. We don't do that here at the Mall of America.
Nope.
You like that?
We don't. Yeah.
We were going to step up and hit the grandest of grand slams on attempt one. There was no way I would ever sign on for something that I felt was so important and historic and not hit that home run. So, like, I still get like weird about it.
Absolutely.
It was hands down by far the coolest thing that First Wrestling has done to date.
And you were the right organization to do it because of all those things you said. This wasn't just a cash grab or we're going to do it to say that we did it. And you have built a community of just generous, respectful, passionate individuals that have found a place where they belong. And First Wrestling's tagline is, First Wrestling is for everyone.
Yep.
And that's not just a tagline. That is something you and your team live and breathe.
Absolutely. For so long, professional wrestling has always kind of been this archaic, misogynistic, in your face kind of Sunday monster truck screaming thing.
Oh yeah.
That was kind of, for the longest time, how would you call it? Like a man's world, so to speak. Very specifically, a straight white man's world. And I feel that of all the hills people today choose to die on, whatever they may be, it kind of feels like just being a decent person, a real human being, seems to be the easiest of the choices.
And the best.
Yeah, right?
And the best choice.
Yes.
And that's a very big part of what we do at First Wrestling. Regardless of who you are or who you love or how you identify, like First Wrestling is a safe and welcoming place for anyone and everyone. And that's not a tagline. It's not, like you said earlier, it's not a cash grab. It's a real thing. Like our lineups, in my opinion, are the most diverse and inclusive.
Love that.
Hands down. So
I agree.
Yeah.
And that's why I love that we work with you on these things. So I would say to be with the audience at WrestlePalooza,
Okay.
when you made the announcement that First Wrestling was coming to Mall of America, for me was one of the most surreal moments of my life. I'm just there as an observer. But when that crowd figured out what was happening and you were in the ring with the contract, that was unbelievable. And also made me feel like, oh, we're going to be good. We got something here. I think we're okay.
Yeah, the reaction was good.
Yeah. We put that video together with the mindset that we don't want to just show our hand. We wanted to build to something that, in a way, organically has built to itself all the way since 1995. Yeah. So the fact that we got to do that, we got to be a part of that. I got to be in the ring when we did it. I got to tell our crowd, and eventually, the whole world, like, not only are we bringing wrestling back to the Mall of America, but like, we're the ones that are doing it. I've had ton of matches in a ton of places with amazing people for the largest companies in our industry. But just talking about it again,
I love it.
It was that cool of a moment, possibly cooler than when we actually did it, because the room was filled with like this energy, this electricity that people always talk about, but to actually be in the ring and to endure it and to almost, metaphorically like feel it, touch it, that was crazy. I'm goosebumped all over again just
That's
talking
awesome.
about it.
Yeah.
It was that cool of a thing, yeah.
Yeah, to be there and see that, and for whatever reason, you were in the ring amidst the cheers of the people, and you turned and you looked for me and you pointed at me. And I was like,
that was a little bit of a thank you.
We got
that
this.
was a little bit of it was more than a little bit of a thank you. It was a number of thank yous. Thank you for choosing us. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for all of it. But also like, hey man, I think this is going to be just fine.
We're okay.
It'll be good.
Yes.
It'll be good.
Yeah.
And then, for us too, we kind of talk about success for us is when the team gets excited about things that we're doing. And this was something I think at first that maybe wasn't understood by everybody, that there was a little bit of the perception Arik was talking about, that it is, perhaps barbaric and
Or outdated.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
For sure.
But for everybody who was there from our team who got to witness it firsthand, I mean, they are on board and can't wait for, more events. But they also recognize that your audience, again, that community you built was literally the best group of guests we've ever had. To the point where they cleaned the rotunda after the match. They were picking up trash, putting away chairs.
And we've hosted tens of thousands of
Yes.
events. So that's saying something.
That's a very, very cool reoccurring conversation with our fan base, our supporters. They are the most amazing, well-behaved, self-policing group of wrestling fans, or even just in general.
That's cool.
To speak of a fandom that I've ever encountered. Every time we do an event with a new partner or we go somewhere else to a new venue, there's always that touch of apprehensiveness because they've never done this before. They've only heard what they've heard and seen what they've seen and read what they've read, but they've never worked with us. They've never had our fan base as their customers. And every time that happens, a very similar conversation happens where, holy shit, I can't believe how amazingly well behaved all of those people were in the room.
How cool.
One person got a little drunk and we asked them not to drink anymore, but there were no fights. No one got ejected. No one said anything lewd. There was no reason to warn anyone about anything. They just were here to have fun. And I think that's not just a compliment to them, but also a compliment to as Chris said, the community that we've created. And it's a very cool, very flattering, very surreal thought to think that this wild dream I had to promote cool wrestling in Minnesota has turned into something so much larger.
Just by being a good person and doing the right thing.
I'm trying.
Go figure, right?
It's weird how sometimes those
Go
things
figure.
work out. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If more people.
So we did that.
We did. We sure did. And wow.
And then
I think
we get to do it again.
Yes.
Tell me more.
I thought for a really long time that, hey, if we get to do this one time, if we could do this one time, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
But when that show started in 2022, I made it a point to go to the ring with the microphone. And the very first thing that I said was, I thanked everyone for being there. And then I said, I think we should do this again. Yeah. And every single person in the room, their applause, they were roaring, they were loving it. And we hadn't even given them any wrestling yet.
I love it. Yeah.
So, by design, I wanted everybody to know that, look, this fan base is going to support what we do. Even something as huge and as monumental as the second first wrestling event in the Rotunda. And in my mind, if we got to do it once, that'd be amazing. Yeah. Because prior to us, it was a billionaire and his company that ran a wrestling event in the Rotunda. The second time, it was me and my crew and First Wrestling. Yeah. So if we were going to race to see who got to the second one, I have to admit, coming into it, I would not have bid on us. However, here we are.
Well, and I think one of the things that we like to showcase, and I don't know if it's a turn in direction in recent years, but really we've been more intentional about showcasing local talent, Minnesota talent, and giving them the biggest stage and platform that we can to share their talents. And this to me is no different. This is absolutely something that should be celebrated on the biggest stage that we have, because it's something to be proud of in this community, not just, here in Mall of America and First Wrestling, but in Minnesota. Minnesota has a rich history with professional wrestling.
And honestly, locally, right? As a kid, I'm older than you guys. I remember Vern Gagne and Baron von Ruschke and local Minnesota wrestlers that my mom hated that I watched. Absolutely hated it.
I think that's another thing with wrestling that's very cyclical is my mom hated it at first. My dad hated it at first. But they come around. Yeah.
And I loved it, right? I was enamored with it. And then I remember his son Greg Gagne wrestled, and he had a partner who was from the University of Minnesota, and I can't remember his name.
Jim Brunzell.
Jim Brunzell, yes.
Yep.
So, see, I thought I knew nothing about wrestling. Look at this.
Here you are.
I'm remembering.
Once the juices get going.
Yeah. No.
So, to think that what was a bit of a pipe dream at first, that, man, it'd be really cool to promote live wrestling at the Mall of America. Yeah. To have that become a reality, to have that go unbelievably, amazingly well, to should we do it again? Mm-hmm. To absolutely, yes, we should do it again. I am lost for words to adequately tell people what it means and how cool it is and how important it is, because we'd be here all day.
Right.
But more importantly than what I think of it, I think that a real testament to what it does mean is what it means to our community and our industry of professional wrestling, especially on our level, is the support that it continues to get. Once the tickets were gone for the first show, people wanted to know if there were going to be more.
Yep.
When tickets go on sale for this one, I expect nothing less than an additional sellout. I expect it to happen faster than the last one because they know that it will. They're going to understand that, you have to buy a ticket even on the fourth level because that's the way this event is being built. If you want to come, you want to see it, and you want to be part of this crazy lore that the Mall of America and First Wrestling are creating within independent professional wrestling, buy a ticket. Enjoy the ride. Let's go.
Can I ask a quick question? Is that all right? For our listeners that are tuning in, somebody who has a dream, I want to do something special. I want to start a business. I want to create something unique. Tell us a little bit about your origin story. What got you to this place? What inspired you? And how did you achieve the success?
If we want to go all the way back, I'll do it in fast forward. Yeah. But as a kid, I had a single mother who worked all the time, and she dropped me off at my grandparents' place. And I don't think my mom ever cared that I liked wrestling. But my grandma made it the coolest thing in the world.
Awesome.
When my folks would drop me off and they would leave, my grandma would kind of like peek through the curtain. Okay, she's gone.
I love it.
And then she would turn on, at the time, it was AWA Wrestling every Saturday morning. And there was just that silly thing that she did that made it cooler than it really was. Yep. And it made it our thing. Fast forward, it was wrestling. Eat, sleep, breathe. Grade school, high school. My dad was a little bothered that I didn't want to pursue collegiate baseball, even though there were offers. I was done with school, and wrestling was it. So I think really what it boils down to is, as silly and cliche as that childhood dream may sound, like if you don't try, if you don't give it a go, you'll never know. And I think that especially in this day and age,
Yep.
every day someone is out there proving that if you can dream it, you can do it.
Yep.
So I think you have to try. You have to.
One of your recent events, I want to talk about a little bit too, because giving back is a huge part of First Wrestling as well. And your recent event, and I'm not sure Dan knows about this, so if you could explain the Ranger Rumble.
I don't know about this.
To Dan.
Okay.
Okay. So,
And to our listeners,
of course.
Yes.
We just did an event at the Forest Lake High School. Okay. I graduated from the Forest Lake High School. One of our guests at the event, WWE Hall of Famer, Molly Holly, also graduated at the Forest Lake High School. And one of our current performers, the revolutionary Bill Williams, he's actually the current social studies teacher.
I love it.
At the Forest Lake High School. So I've known Bill for a while, and there's always been a conversation of how and when can we do a live wrestling event at the high school? And we've been talking about it for years. And it was always kind of, when will the time be right? When will the reasons be right? And recently, we kind of put it all together. And we did an event at the Forest Lake High School called the Ranger Rumble that benefited a program at the high school called Rangers Helping Rangers. And what this is a fund that all students are able to tap into to make their, to get their after-school athletics and or extracurricular activities, their uniforms, their equipment, whatever the case may be, paid for.
That's awesome.
And there were over 750 people at this event.
Wow.
So in the coolest and also cheesiest of ways, we did something very cool for current and future students of Forest Lake High School.
I think that's amazing.
I love it so much.
Making a difference. I love it. I'm tearing up.
It's a very cool thing that I think that if I had access to when I was a kid, how much more would I have done?
Yeah.
God bless my mom. She was amazing and like made sure I could do anything and everything I always wanted to. Yeah. But like, it could have been easier for her. It could have been easier for me and like so many other kids. So to think that like we might have impacted some of these kids is awesome.
That's very cool.
Well, if nothing else, you've given them a great reason to pay attention in social studies, because if my social studies teacher was a professional wrestler, chances are ears would be open, eyes would be forward.
Button up during the day, spandex at night. I don't know what to tell you.
Well, that's my motto as well.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
That's all I'm saying.
He is here for a lot.
It's true. It's true. Any other upcoming events or things you want to talk about? I know you've done some different things with conventions as well, but any other things that you're excited about coming up here?
Wow, how much time do we have? Because
we got about 3 minutes, but
okay.
No.
First Wrestling, and I believe it's in large part to the success of Saturday Night Nitro is we're busy. We're so busy right now. Trying to think.
Well, I mean, in a couple of weeks, you're going to be at Taste of Minnesota.
Yeah. So we've got Taste of Minnesota. The following, or the couple of weeks after that, we're doing a tour of breweries in Iowa.
Very cool.
Then we're at All Pints North in Duluth for a craft beer festival in front of over 100 different breweries. And that's just July, and now I need a nap.
Yeah.
Because you got a show to get ready for, too.
Well, I mean, so that's just July. We have August. And then, of course, you know, there's that thing that we're going to do at the mall again.
Can't wait.
What do you?
That'll be awesome.
What do you do in your free time when you're not thinking about wrestling? When you're not actually wrestling, what do you do in your free time?
In my free time, when I'm not doing or thinking wrestling things, I'm doing and thinking wrestling things. My girlfriend can attest to this. It's probably, especially for her, I can see that it probably gets a little annoying because it's an all-day thing. Like it's a all day, every day. And she's amazing. She's totally supportive. But when I do find those moments of non-wrestling, I'm probably at the ballpark or at the hockey rink. Big baseball fan, big Wild fan.
Very cool.
Despite our poor playoff.
It's Minnesota.
Yeah.
Come on.
We are made to suffer.
We are. It's in our blood.
There's always next year.
If people are interested in learning more about First Wrestling, upcoming events, that kind of thing, where should they check you out?
We are all over social media, and it's all at First Wrestling, F1RST Wrestling. And if you can't find that, Arik Cannon, also spelled just as weirdly, you can find me at ARIKCANNON, and between one or the other, you'll find everything and anything you want to know about First Wrestling, upcoming events, crazy stuff we're going to do at the mall in December with the Festival of Trees again. That was very cool.
Festival of Trees was great.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
It was really
Thank you
fantastic.
for participating.
It was a very cool thing to be a part of.
Yeah.
And again, just to show the thought and consideration he puts into these things, he sent me a text from the Ranger Rumble of figures he's getting signed already for Festival
For
of
the
Trees.
tree. I
for
love
next year.
it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So with that, we appreciate your partnership and collaboration, not only with this event, but the other things that you get roped into once you're part of the Mall of America family.
I'm
No getting out.
I'm very pleased and happy and appreciative to be that weird cousin of the Mall of America.
But we appreciate you and the team and the community you've built, and we thank you for trusting us to host your event as well.
The feeling is mutual.
Any other parting thoughts, Dan? Any other questions?
No, I
Okay.
just can't wait for the next match.
That's it for me.
I love it.
I can't wait to do it again. What's next? What's next?
Third time's the charm.
I agree. Thanks, Eric.
right.
No, my
Appreciate it.
pleasure.
Thanks for listening,
Thank you, guys.
everyone.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of So Much More. If you want to hear more, be sure to subscribe to our podcast wherever you find your favorites, including Spotify, Apple, or Google Podcasts. And you can also watch a video cast on YouTube. Go to podcast.mallofamerica.com to leave a review, ask a question, or give us an idea for the show. Until next time, thanks for listening. So Much More is presented by the Bloomington Convention and Visitors Bureau, the official destination marketing organization for the city of Bloomington, Minnesota. Before your next trip to Mall of America, visit bloomingtonmn.org for answers to all your travel questions, deals and packages for hotel stays, and so much more.